ADAHMAN1907. Today we will be discussing television and violence and the investigation of television globally through a symposium on cultural indicators. First, we will begin with the State of America's Children Yearbook 1994, where an effort is made to discuss the media and violence, growing public worry about the effect of children, of continuous exposure to simulated violence in the media stimulated new efforts in 1993 to control excessive violence on television and in video games. We will now move to Fundamental Statistics for Behavioral Sciences by Robert B. McCall, 5th edition. Mr. McCall is from the University of Pittsburgh. It was put out for Harcourse Brace Jankovic. Introduction to Research Design. The next step is operational variables and their relationship. When a variable is defined in terms of the actions required to measure it, the result is a blank definition. The third step is data collection. Making the actual observations and recording the measurements constitutes. The next step is to analyze the data. It is in this phase that the numerical information is described, relationships quantified, and inferences drawn. The fifth step consists of drawing conclusions and interpretations. Suppose a scientist wanted to study the effects of viewing violent television on the aggressive behavior of children. The first step would be to blank blank. That might be, does viewing violent television increase aggressive social behavior in nursery school children? The next step is to blank the variables and their relationships. That is, watching violent television might be defined to be having the children watch 30 minutes of Roadrunner cartoons each day at 9 a.m. for 2 weeks during nursery school. Non-parametric techniques concerning the Pearson chi-square test. Suppose that an opinion pollster wanted to know where people placed the blame for the Watergate scandal after President Nixon held his first press conference following the beginning of the Senate hearings in 1973. The pollster drew a sample and offered each person 5 choices of where the blame should be put. A plot against the president himself, usual dirty politics, the men around the president, no opinion. The result of such a survey is the number or percentage of people questioned who responded with each of the 5 alternatives. These data are on a blank scale of measurement and require a blank analysis, in this case the Pearson chi-square test. It goes on. The distribution of response to these 5 categories, regardless of political affiliation, was reported by Daniel Yankelovich, Inc. and published in Time International Edition, 10 September 1973. The breakdown according to political affiliation is fictitious. After taking this statistics course for University College, I kept the book. I kept it because, number one, we were not discussing children. We were really not discussing television. some of the comments made by the professor, we were not discussing riots, and when the riot happens, stay inside your house. After the events that transpired at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County happened, where I was failed for not falsifying an observation, where I read documentations for a University College Business English course concerning Furstenberg and Crawford's Baltimore study, where he stated that this was a purposive, that the sample size might not be adequate for comparison. Let this be clearly understood for what ended up happening. I went back to the time, I'm assuming Times of London. There is nothing in there concerning Daniel Yankelovich. You will come across sections and sections of social work in various counties in England. There is no Daniel Yankelovich. Television and Violence, Implications of the Surgeon General's Research Program, John P. Murray, National Institute of Mental Health. The magnitude of television's involvement in our daily lives is rather impressive. It goes on. When I went to find certain seminars from the American Psychological Association's library on First Street in the District of Columbia, number one, imagine my surprise when these hearings were held in Canada. Canada is not the United States of America. Canadian television is not American television. But more importantly, the thesaurus of psychological index terms, 1974 to 2004. You have added new terms: distance education, bullying, acute stress disorder, online therapy. It goes on. I retrieved from your library what I needed. Wednesday morning, 11 to 11:50, Division 7, Hampstead Room, Hotel Bonaventure. Aletha Houston Stein, Pennsylvania State University Chair. Lloyd N. Morissette, the John and Mary R. Markle Foundation, New York, New York. The Changing Culture of Childhood. What I was looking for was the entire presentation of Mr. Morissette. For the most part, he had a 2-page published article concerning the changing nature of childhood. After that, Mr. Morissette disappears. Editor's introduction. Discussions at the International Symposium on Cultural Indicators for the Comparative Study of Culture, Vienna, February the 16th through the 19th, 1982. The United States of America has now rated television. This conference was in the 1980s. Nancy Signorelli, The Demography of the Television World. Television is the most common, constant, and vivid learning environment in the United States of America. Harry Bauman and James Stappers, The Dutch Violence Profile, a replication of GERBNER's message system analysis. killing screens, media and culture of violence. GERBNER, electronic storyteller. The crisis of the cultural environment. As I stated, this divide can never be bridged because it is an observation. Such ends ADAHMAN 1907.